Hey, how's everybody doing? I know it's been a little while since you guys have seen me. I haven't done an update in a couple of weeks. Christmas, New Year's, everything just kind of got in the way of the garden. But we got a problem. We got to talk. See that? Those are fungus gnats. Okay? Yeah, we got a lot of them. So these little things, see if I can get it close to the camera. See if they'll pick it up. They look like little tiny mosquitoes. I'll turn this around so you guys can kind of have an idea here. So I have sticky traps hung on both sides of my lights, plus one sitting on top of a couple of pots, one of the ones with cilantro. So these things either came in on the ProMix soil that I'm using, which has happened several times in the past. One of the problems that ProMix tends to have, and I get a lot of complaints about that, is that their soil is always contaminated with fungus gnats. So let's talk about fungus gnats. These little bastards will mess your house plants up, especially your little seedlings. Okay, so what happens is they have a two-stage life cycle. The first stage, you get these little flies flying around. They lay soil in your, they lay eggs in the soil of your little house plants. They can lay up to a couple of hundred eggs at a time. And those little eggs hatch and little tiny worms start crawling around in your soil between an 1/8 inch and a 1/4 inch long. And they'll start eating the organic matter in your soil. And they will also start eating all the little roots in your soil. And if you have little seedlings, like I do behind you, I'll show you guys in a second, they will start actively feeding on the roots of your little seedlings. That's going to cause definite issues with your plants. You're going to start seeing yellowing in your plants. You'll see it on my spinach. You'll see the growth of your plants drastically reduce. It can also cause various diseases in your plants, like dampening off. And anybody who's ever grown a bunch of seedlings will know when you have dampening off, because one day you'll come out in your little seedlings like this, and then you'll come out the next day and it's lying flat, and right at the soil it almost looks like a beaver just chewed through your damn plant, and your seedlings are flopped over and they're finished. So we have options. I've been super busy, so I haven't had much of an opportunity. One of the number one things you can do to combat this is to keep the top inch or two of your soil dry, because they won't lay eggs on your dry soil. They need moist soil for those eggs to survive on and hatch. So if you have larger pot plants, like larger potted plants, let the top couple inches of your soil dry out, and that'll definitely help with your fungus gnat problem. I can't do that in these little grow cells, because if I let 2 inches of it dry out, then there's going to be no moisture in it whatsoever, and it's going to affect my plants. So you got options. What I'm going to do is, once I'm done filming this video, I'm going to do a hydrogen peroxide soil drench. So what you do is you take 1 part water, 4 parts hydrogen peroxide, you mix it together, you pour it through your soil till it leaks or leaches right through your soil and drips out the bottom. Because what can happen sometimes is these little eggs won't necessarily just be living on the top of your soil or laid in the top of your soil. The flies can sometimes fly underneath, because it's usually moist at the bottom near your drain holes in the bottom of your plugs of your plants, right? It's usually moist down there because the water's kind of filtering through. So you need to do a soil soak with the hydrogen peroxide so it runs through the whole plant matter and all the way out. And it's not going to hurt your plants because when hydrogen peroxide degrades, because it degrades rather quickly, it just creates oxygen. Oxygen is fantastic for your plant roots. You won't harm your plants at all. Another option you have is a pyrethrin spray. Pyrethrin is an insecticide made from chrysanthemums. Non-toxic to people, but it wipes out bugs. It works great. You can get that at any one of your gardening centers. You can find it. It's not hard to find. Another option you have is neem oil spray. I don't have any in the house. Comes in little bottles, big bottles, whatever. It's pretty expensive, but if you have fruit trees outside, you should have neem oil as a preventative treatment in the spring, and you should be spraying your fruit trees with neem oil in the spring regardless. I don't have any fruit trees. I don't use neem, but it works great under certain uses. I don't have any. I'm not going that way. And another thing you can do are called Mosquito Dunks, and it's a little thing like this, and you mix it in with about a gallon of water. You just plop it in, and it inside that mosquito dunk are bacteria called Bacillus thuringiensis. And what happens is when you leave that mosquito dunk overnight in your bucket, watering can, whatever you're going to use, it releases all of that bacteria into your water, which will not harm your plants. But when you pour that onto your soil where all of these larvae are, it's going to kill them all. It's just going to wipe them right out, right? It's like a nuclear bomb on these damn things. I don't have any mosquito dunks. I'm sure I can order them. Most of the greenhouses and gardening centers around me are closed for the winter. I mean, who's doing stuff like this in the winter? Very few people. But you could probably order them on Amazon. I haven't checked yet. So that's kind of what's happening. That's what I'm dealing with today. Once I'm done this, like I said, I'm going to go get that hydrogen peroxide. I got bottles and bottles of it upstairs. I'm just going to take something like this. I'm just going to do the 4-to-1 ratio, and then I'm just going to start flooding everything, and I'm just going to soak everything in it. Another option are yellow sticky traps. These come in, seeing if I have any more. I don't have any more around me. So these come in all shapes and sizes. I like these ones because they're double-sided and they come with like a wax paper on the back, see? So what you can do is I've literally just peeled the sticky off one side and I'm leaving it sitting on the pots of cilantro. See, you can even see them flying around my face here. I'm leaving it sitting on the pot of cilantro, you'll see behind you there. And so as they kind of land in these larger pots that I keep moist because I've got the cilantro growing, they also land on this. They've got the hole in the top. You can hang a little zip tie on here, a little piece of string. I've got a couple hung up with some baling twine. These work fantastic. The yellow attracts them. They can't get off. It's a great sort of passive way to kill them all. And I mean, look how many's on here. And the other ones have just as many. So, you've got options, but you need to deal with these things. If you find you have an infestation, you have to manage this. If you don't, especially with your little seedlings, it's going to start wiping out your seedlings. So I'll drop this camera down and I'll start showing you guys what's happening, especially with my spinach back here. You can see the spinach leaves are starting to go yellow, and you'll see what I'm talking about, how they're starting to damage my plants, okay? Okay, so you can see where I'm starting to sustain damage on my spinach. Look at the color of that compared to the color of that. I know it's bright in here, guys, but you can see the yellowing, right? That's getting caused by damage to the roots from those fungus gnats. So I need to deal with this or I'm going to lose, I'm going to start losing some of these seedlings. So, see how my kale is getting yellow, right? So if I dug in here, I'm not going to, because I'm going to damage those little roots if I start digging in here with my finger. But I guarantee if I start digging around in here, you're going to see, well, maybe I can get in here a little bit. See if I can find some of these for you. They're going to make it difficult, aren't they? Yeah. They're going to make it difficult. All right. Well, you get the point. They live, those little larvae, they live just under the surface here, because when they hit their second stage life cycle, those little larvae need to be close enough to the surface that they can have those flies wiggle to the top of the surface and fly away. So that's my next plan. I'm going to go get that hydrogen peroxide, and I'm going to nuke these little bastards, because the populations are just exploding here. Like, look at that. See them all? This one too, see? So, and you notice they're not on the back side of the light. See, here's the end of the light. There's none on the back side. They're all on the inside where the light is. Same on this one. There's the inside and there's the back side. There's only a few back there. So, all right, well, so that's, here's a quick update on how things are growing. We've got kale, spinach. Sorry, my tripod's broken, so I got to kind of freehand it right now. So we've got our kale, we've got our spinach, we have our dill. See the little dills? We have our Swiss chard. The basil's up. We've got our two types of tomatoes. We have our Tommy Toes right here, and then we have the Brandywine. And you notice how the Brandywine leaves are different from a standard looking tomato? That's an average standard tomato leaf. And then you see the Brandywine, they look nothing like a standard tomato leaf. And then here is our beautiful bed of cilantro. So, remember when I said we're going to plant it thick and it's going to be like a green carpet? I wasn't kidding. Look at all the stems in there. So all I'm going to do is that when I want some, I'm just going to come in here and trim it. So that's a little bit of what's happening in the greenhouse. I'm going to go get that hydrogen peroxide, and I'm just going to do a quick video on that for you guys when I come back down. All right? Have a great day, guys. Like I always say, grow good food. I love you. You can do this. I know you can.